Welcome, Noelle and Robert. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you as a guest today on the Love Yourself First show. Uh, I'm so excited because you have, I know, a particular point of view on self-love. And as we were preparing, you did talk about as the scriptures, and that's amazing. So I know that your interview is going to be a blessing. This being said, can you share with us how it is that you got started as self-love experts or self-love advocates?
Well, so our first work together, we were missionaries in South America, and as missionaries, as leaders within the Christian ministry, obviously personal development, right? Helping people change bad habits for good habits is really what ministry is all about. That transitions into what we do now in coaching, is helping people change bad habits for good habits, bad thoughts for good thoughts. And the reality is, Jesus taught about self-love in a lot of ways, because if you're not loving yourself and you're not taking care of yourself, then you're trying to give to the world from an empty cup. And so, he talks about, that you've got to fill your cup up before you can pour it out and give it to others. And there's too many people in our world. We believe, especially moms, women take on the role of wife, they take on the role of mom, and they pour themselves out for others every single day. And for many, they've been taught their whole lives that it's selfish to take care of yourself. It's selfish to go do your nails. It's selfish to go and go to a manicure, massage, or spend a day at the spa, or even getting their hair done outside.
That's true. Yes.
And the truth is, it's the exact opposite of selfish, because the more you can fill yourself up, the more equipped you are to fill up others. And so love is, love starts inside of yourself. And if you don't fill up your own love cup, you don't have any love to give to others, or you exhaust yourself, right? And we, scientifically, we know that the woman's body, when there's a baby inside, does everything it can to protect that baby. In fact, it will sacrifice the mother, right? We're seeing that now with women with bone issues, because the baby took the calcium and all of these things that the mother's body does to protect the baby. Well, that continues in the mother's life.
It does.
She sacrifices herself for her children. And we want to encourage women, and the work that Noelle's primarily doing is to help women at that empty nest stage, right, at the later midlife stages, rediscover themselves and dream again and believe in themselves and fill their cup up again, right? Take the time to love yourself, because now your children are moving on, your relationship with your husband's in a completely different place than it was, and you've got to fill yourself up and take care of yourself.
What would you say?
It's my perspective that when we get on a plane, we hear the stewardess talk about making sure you put your life mask, oxygen mask on first.
Yes.
And we don't really realize that is true throughout our entire lives. We have to take care of ourselves in order to be able to give to others.
Yes.
Robert was saying we drain ourselves and we just empty ourselves for work, for family, for whatever is going on. We give and give and give, but we have to be willing to balance that and take care of us, because we cannot give from an empty cup. It is impossible to love others if we don't feel loved, and we have to take care of our heart and our soul first.
And I appreciate what you're saying, and I relate. And as a younger mom, I did hear the mask and knowledge. Noelle, thought it made sense. But I really love how you emphasize, both of you, to fill your cup first. And that's a message that I would have wanted to hear as I was a younger mom, because you're actually giving us the permission. And I like it that you're saying it, because sometimes we think that, since we're supposed to love others, from a biblical or a spiritual point of view, that it's selfish. So thank you so much for breaking down that false belief. Now, Noelle, I'd love to know how it is you inspire and empower women as you work with them and you incorporate that self-love and self-care priority.
And it is a priority. So we look at what are your values? What is it that you are here for? What is your passion and purpose? And once you can define what is most important to you, you can then look at setting boundaries and evaluating your limiting beliefs. We really encourage boundaries for your relationships and guidance. If you know what your purpose is, what your values are, and you have some boundaries in place, this is what I'm going to focus on. When a question or a offer comes through, like a PTA assignment or something, if that doesn't fit with your values and passion and purpose, it's easier to say no, and you don't feel bad because you're taking care of you and your priorities. So it is a matter of looking at what you are for. What are you put on this earth for? And putting that as a top priority. And if it doesn't fit, it's okay. We feel bad when we say no to things. We don't like saying no because we don't like being told no ourselves. It goes both ways. But if we can look at it from saying yes to the priorities, it's a lot easier to, it's not necessarily a no. It's like, that doesn't fit. It's like looking for a job.
Yeah.
If the job for the employee and the employer isn't the right fit, they say no.
Exactly.
It's the same thing in our lives and any opportunity that comes through. It has to fit in who we are, and it's going to take us to where we want to go.
That is a great way of saying it, and it's the first time I hear it. It's not saying no; it's saying yes to something else, and it starts with the values and the purpose. So that is, I would think, quite reassuring when women or moms work with you, because if they feel they're lost, they don't know where to go, as they have this feeling that it's time to take care of themselves, then you help them get clarity on that. So that's really good. Now, I do have a quick question. You mentioned a PTA. Maybe it's just me as a French Canadian, but what does that mean?
Parent Teacher Association.
Okay.
So it's nothing I've ever been involved with, but it's in stories and shows where the moms who are stay-at-home moms tend to participate in those parent teacher organizations to help support the schools.
Okay, thank you so much.
Not my cup of tea.
Okay. And I know that you two also work with couples, Robert and Noelle, and you've been married, correct me if I'm wrong, but for over 30 years, is that correct? Oh, that's amazing. And you guys are examples. So thank you so much for your journey. Because we know when we're married that there's some bumps along the way.
Always.
Yeah. So I'd like to know, how is it that you incorporate self-love in your couple? As two individuals that must love themselves, fill their cups first, and then also be able to connect in a deep spiritual way together. How do you do it?
Yeah, you have to find those values as a person, but also as a couple. And sometimes they overlap, sometimes they're a little bit different, but it's acknowledging that I have to take care of me, and I know he needs to take care of him.
Yes.
But then there's space that we would need to take care of each other. So in the Bible, it talks about taking care of your spouse and
Yes.
becoming one. And it's those conversations work together to find that common path and a common goal. We're totally different people. We have different perspectives, which why it makes a great conversation, because we are able to see things differently, but we're aimed at the same purpose.
Yes. Okay.
And even though we focus on different avatars, our goal is the same, is helping people take care of them and be the better person for themselves.
Well, and I really think we've really taken on the idea of, so our company name, Add Value to Life, is really about Paul's admonition to the Thessalonians: encourage one another and build each other up. And so our role as people is to encourage others and build them up.
Yes.
My role as a husband is to encourage my wife and build her up, make her the
Mm.
best wife, make her the best
Mm.
mother. My goal in our relationship is to help her be better.
Mm.
And what's really cool about it is because it's mutual, her goal is to make me be better. And so it's
Yeah.
not selfish and
Yeah.
it's not manipulative, which I
No.
think in a lot of relationships, it becomes manipulative. Like, well, honey, I'll do the dishes for you if we'll do something a little later, or I'll
Oh,
vacuum
yeah, I get it.
if you'll go wash the car. And right. Then, and it becomes this tit for tat kind of relationship.
Mm.
That's not really that's selfish, right? And manipulative. And so we want to have a relationship that's open and communicative, and we know each other's needs because we've communicated about them, not because I have to guess, right? And
Yeah.
so many relationships, especially TV and Hollywood, the way they promote is, well, if he loved me, he would just know. He would just
Oh
know.
my, I've
And
been there
and
too. Yeah.
and the truth is, something in your heart just, our brain tells us, oh, if he just loved me, he would know that about me, and he would know that I want this. And he's thinking about a grilled cheese sandwich, right? He's not even thinking about the same. They're not
He
even on the
is
same page.
actually.
And so if she wants something, if she, so, and the sad thing is, the two things that most couples don't talk about are sex and money, and
Yeah.
they're really the two most exciting things in the world.
They
and
are.
and
Yeah.
so if you can't talk about, hey, I like it when you do that. Oh, I like it
Yes.
when that really feels good.
Yeah.
And you have a conversation about the things that you enjoy. You have a
Mm.
conversation about the ways that you can spend your money and save your money and take care of each other. Then really great things happen. And it doesn't have to be this selfishness, this
Mm.
concern that, oh, I'm not going to get mine. If I give it all to her, I'm not going to get mine. I'll be empty. But the truth is, the more I give, the more she gives.
Mhm.
And this mutual giving fills each other up.
But it can't be manipulative. It has to be out of truth and fair and just love for the other person.
Which can be challenging because we still get selfish. We're just selfish
We
in our
do.
nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's places where, we mess it up and we have to apologize, and we have to own our crap and say, hey,
Yeah.
but it really comes down to communication. When we hurt
It
each other's
does.
feelings, we got to be able to say, that those words you said the other day, that didn't feel so good. And or the attitude you're using when you talk to me, that didn't feel so good.
Mm.
And even after 30 years, I can still irritate her and push her buttons and yeah.
And one of the things we talk about is just encouraging the I statements when you talk.
Yes. Oh, yes.
We talk to the communication and how valuable and fundamental it is to have good communication and active listening. But when you're speaking and having those tough conversations, focus on yourself and how it feels, what it does to you, not accusatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about me.
Mm.
Which can be challenging.
Yeah, and you shared so many truths and also interesting aspects on which I'd like to dive in more. Now, one of them is you mentioned when there's that negotiation part. You said that was selfish, and I was like, it is? Like, I do that. So, and I have an open mind, and I really want to know what's the alternative? So let's say I do want him to clean the car. So, well, I got a pop-up answer in my head just saying, hey, please clean the car. And there's no conditions attached. But I'd love you to share about that, please.
Yeah, it's just asking. Verbalize those expectations and desires and don't expect anything in return.
Yeah.
If he does it, fabulous.
Yes.
If he doesn't, you go to the car wash.
Exactly. Choose your battles.
It's very much a choose your battles. Yes. If it's worth fighting about and if it's vital, then you have the conversation.
Yeah.
But if it's just, something needs done, I need the trash taken out.
Yeah.
It's a conversation and communication throughout the day, throughout the week. Whereas when you do ask him to take out the trash, it's no big deal. It's just done. And sometimes he does it before you ask because he knows it happens.
Of course.
But he's not doing it to get something else. He's just
Yeah.
doing it because it needs to be done. And the same with the dishes. There doesn't have to be this manipulation or this idea that, oh, I'm going to do the dishes because that's extra special.
Yeah.
But it's not extra special if I expect something later, right?
Okay.
And it's really those expectations where you get yourself into trouble, and being able to communicate expectations, right? Maybe it's late in the evening, or having the opportunity to have a daily conversation where, I really expected you to come home, and give me a hug, or I really expected,
Yes.
I kind of expected you to take out the trash, right? And being able to express those expectations, because
Yeah.
so often in relationships, we hold the expectation
Mm.
inside, and then it impacts our decisions, it impacts our feelings, and we never tell the other person why we're irritated,
Yeah.
and they just know, right? They just feel it. The energy's off. And when the energy's off, it's because somebody's holding on to an expectation and not communicating about it.
Hmm. Wow, thank you. I knew this was going to be a blessed interview. And you just said, to simply say, hey, I was expecting you to hug me as you came back. And I remember not too long ago, I made that complicated. I said, well, I felt like not loved, and that went into a discussion. But I appreciate how simple it is. That's a nugget. That's a nugget for our viewers.
But we complicate it terribly. Like, so if that happened at the beginning of the day, maybe I didn't give her a kiss on my way to work.
Yeah.
And then, or she didn't give me a kiss as I left for the office,
Yeah.
and ran out and grabbed the newspaper off the front sidewalk and didn't wave goodbye. And I spend the whole day thinking about, why is she mad at me? I don't understand.
Yeah.
She didn't give me a kiss. She must be mad about something. What's she mad about? And I machine this around in my head for 8 hours at work. And guess
Yeah.
what happens when I walk in the front door?
You
We're
have
gonna have a
that
fight.
attitude. Yeah,
We're gonna have a fight.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
the fight all happened up here. It's
It
completely
did.
imagined. And she gets blindsided because she had no idea
Yeah.
that anything had even happened.
And that goes both ways, but because if something happens before you work or before bed, we machine it and we think it and we process it and we just focus on it so much. Then the next time we come back together, we've gone 20 degrees the other direction, and it's just horrible.
And it was nothing, right? So many times we get ourselves all wound up over some small thing that we expected. And
Or we thought we saw.
And nowadays you got a cell phone, you can call her up and say, hey, is everything okay? And when she
Yeah.
says yes, everything's okay, you got to be okay with that and go with it, and let go of the machining it around, because that's where we get ourselves all wound up. And then we end up creating an argument, and then we have a fight for 2 days and we don't talk, and our relationship blows up over this expectation over a kiss.
Mm.
Or even a non-response, because with technology, we expect responses to our text messages, even if it's not a responding type of message.
Yeah, I know.
We don't get back a thumbs up or an okay or an I love you back. What the heck just happened?
Yeah.
And it could just be that the phone's on the charger.
It
Or he's
could.
busy, or you're busy, right? You don't have to reply to every I love you, because if you reply to every I love you, we've got a nonstop conversation.
Here's the thing, you can't say I love you with the expectation to have I love you back.
Yes. Yes.
Oof.
When we go like, I love you.
Right. You can't read that in a text, right?
No. Yeah, just put the
The question mark.
the question mark at the end if that's what you want to know. You two have this facility of making relations, from what I understand, simple, easy. And I think that's what we need to do more. Just get it down to the basics and say things as they are, because life can be complicated. That's amazing. Now, I'm curious. So we're going to be, soon you're going to tell us about the gift that you have for our viewers. But before we do so, I'd like to know if there's anything else you'd like to add rather. If there's anything else you'd like to add for our viewers.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, a big piece of the work we do is identity, right? Helping a person
Mm.
discover not just their values and purpose, but what is their identity,
Mhm.
and especially Noelle's work with women is, women give up their name when they get married. They give up their identity in a lot of ways when they become a wife, when they become a
Mm.
mother, and our role does not necessarily mean our identity.
Mm.
Although in our culture we've been taught to believe that your role equates your identity, right? If you're
Yeah.
a salesman, then you're a salesman. If you're a mom, then you're a mom. And now we talk about working moms, right? And
Yeah.
so now we've tied working and mom together, and we say that's an identity.
Mm.
But the truth is, there's a woman, there's a spirit underneath of that identity. There's a man behind that salesman, and being able to find that identity and know what that identity's purpose is in the world is really what we want to help people discover. And when a couple can align their identity for a journey, for a purpose, right? So, the two of us exist to help other people
Mhm.
find their identity and really activate it, right? And
Yeah.
that's about encouraging other people and building them up. We want to build people up and free them to be the person that they were created to be.
And I want to say it this way. If you think about the core of who you are,
Yeah.
and then you've got things like we do a brainstorm at work. We always have these diagrams where we draw a circle and then we brainstorm all these different things
Yeah.
around it, right?
Yeah.
You're the core, the center, your identity of who you are. And then all the different things coming out are your roles. You're the mom, you're an employee, you're a supervisor, you're a wife, you're working at the school, you're giving time for this. Those are all parts of you. But
Mhm.
what are you at the core? What is your true identity in the middle?
Mm. Yes, it's what it's all about, the true essence. I must say, Noelle, I love your nails. They're gorgeous. They
That's
are.
that's part of her self-love.
I know, and I love it. I actually do jujitsu, so I cannot, well, I could at least put color, but
Yeah.
I used to have some. Now, before you tell us about the gift, there's another question I would have for you as you were talking about identity. Now, when we decide to embrace our true essence, it can be scary to someone that was at that point where they felt they had to go back to who they really are, but are a bit held back. Maybe they're a bit scared. What will you tell them?
And there's limiting beliefs that we all have to deal with, and things that we've learned through the years, and just stereotypes that we saw on TV or in life around us that we've just absorbed. They kind of hinder who we think we're supposed to be. But when we allow our core, our soul, to be and live the passion that we have,
Mm.
it is freeing, and it
Mhm.
is so enjoyable. When I am able to share on a podcast or write a story, I just feel this sense of relief and enjoyment that nothing else matters.
Mm.
Getting on stage is scary, and we're getting there. But when it's just a freeing feeling of the weight off your
What would you say?
shoe, and it's
Yes.
enjoyable. You may have to work through some of those limiting beliefs to allow your conscious and your subconscious to be in line, to be true to who you are.
Mm.
But it is going to just be so enjoyable when you get there.
Well, and then there's the practical aspects, right? You've got a job, you've got all these things that are part of this old life. We can't get rid of those instantaneously and start all over typically, right? Unless we have a sponsor or a really big bank account. So the truth is there's a transition, right?
Yeah.
And so we're going to design the life that we want, and then we're going to build the businesses and build the income sources to support it.
Mm.
But we start with that design, and that design becomes our purpose. And when you have a purpose, building a business and building the income, building a side hustle to start supporting it, it really becomes your passion. And you wake up every morning excited to jump out of bed because it's so in alignment with your spirit and your energy, and everything changes when you start being true to yourself.
It does. It does. Your words are inspiring, and I'm sure that there's many viewers that would like to continue to be able to connect with you and connect to your knowledge, your wisdom. And to do so, you have a gift. Can you tell us about the gift, please?
Yeah, I wrote a book that last year now, on working through some of these aspects and figuring out who you are and what you want your life to be like.
Mhm.
I struggled myself last year after having life-saving surgery and recovering through basically a near-death experience.
Mm.
And I wanted to figure out who I was and what I wanted to
Yeah.
do, who I was meant to be.
Mm.
And I really struggled to find resources that I felt were valuable. So I
Mhm.
put one together.
Yeah.
It is a 52-page workbook with, there's really only like 3,000 or 4,000 words in the whole thing. It is
Yeah.
activity meant for you to do the work. You can do
Mm.
it over and over. There's
Yeah.
no time limit or time frame, but it's for you to figure out where you are at and what you want to be and what you want to do in life.
Mm. Thank
We're
you.
giving away the ebook, so you can get the ebook for free.
So is the workbook and the ebook when you
Same
refer?
thing.
Yeah, one. It's
Okay,
the
perfect.
electronic version. Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes, I understand what you're saying now, the clarification. All good. Well, I love that you're offering people to take action and to reflect and do the work. That's appreciated. And the words you've shared today, your journey, your examples are really inspiring. They resonate and they're practical. So basically what I'm saying is I appreciate the work that you do, and I appreciate that you took the time to come and share how your expertise can impact people. And we know it does because we've heard it, and I know I've felt it. So once again, Robert and Noelle, thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you, Nikki, for the opportunity to share.